Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular public meeting of 10th of December. Without further ado, we go to the opening word. Dear colleagues, may we have the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So we have quorum. Declarations of conflicts of interests. There's nothing, Madame Arsenault? I filled out the necessary forms. You're filling them out now? I just want to tell you that 10.3.1, 10.3.1, I'll be in conflict, so I will 10.3.1 and 10.3.2. Is that it? So you'll be leaving at that time. Okay. Yes, okay. Nobody else? Thank you. So we go to the adoption of the agenda, moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. On the question. No questions? All those in favor of the adoption of the agenda, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The agenda is carried as presented. Item 7, presentations, inquiries, and petitions. Inquiries by council members to Kodiak Regional RCMP. Monsieur Cormier, thank you. Have there been any other interventions on Chartersville? Yes, I believe that there are checkpoints. And I don't have any figures, but I could get them. But we do continue to do as we said we would do in the past. Any other questions? Have you heard any other complaints? No, I was just wondering if the work was going on, just to make sure. Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you. So if there are no other questions, Mr. Critchlow, I don't know if you have anything to add. If not, well, no, not really. I see the follow-ups have been made by Inspector Brotto. So unless there are any other questions. No, I don't see any other questions. So we're going to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we'll see you with pleasure. You're welcome to stay with us. But again, if you wish to leave, feel free. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. So now, item 8, questions by members of the public.
Yes, sir, I most certainly do. Good evening, Council. Mayor, as you all know, my name is Michael McBurney and I reside at 366 Bayview Court in Dieppe. We've all established that my residence is part of the city. I just want to reiterate that. Yvonne and Mark, back on August 13th, I received a letter from the city lawyers stating that I needed to stop posting on Facebook because I was voicing my opinion in respect to how I did not feel that the city of Dieppe was enforcing their bylaws. Now, based on the photos that I've submitted to each and every one of you here tonight, back in November 1st, I submitted those photos along with 4 questions. No response, none whatsoever, from not one individual sitting here. So then I resubmitted those photos yesterday about the current state of our situation next door. But yet, you, Mr. Mayor, decided to have the lawyers of the city send me a letter telling me that I'm fabricating this, telling me that I'm making false accusations in a public social media forum, which I express my opinion. Now,
Do you have a question coming? This is question period. Do you have a question coming?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's get to the
Thank you
question.
very much.
Thank you.
My question to you is that CBC just reported that your raise has been awarded and the councillors' raises have been awarded. And following that, there were remarks that people had publicly made. And I actually have a list of probably 14 or 15 public remarks, how people were disappointed at the fact that you guys were going to be awarded this raise. Do you plan on sending them letters to tell them to stop voicing their opinions? It's a valid question. I voiced my opinion because based on those photographs that I sent you yesterday, we're right back to 2014. No farther ahead.
So your question is?
My question is, these people that commented about the CBC article regarding your raises, are you going to commission the city lawyers to send them a letter?
We'll take your question down and we'll answer your question in due time. So you have another question?
I do, actually.
Okay.
The payment for this letter that was sent on your behalf, does that come out of the city council expense account? Or,
Okay,
was that something that you...
We'll take that question down. Do you have another question?
Okay, yeah, I do. Mr. Fournette, actually, this question is for Mr. Fournette. You and your colleagues felt, in order to resolve this situation that my husband and I have been dealing with now since 2014, was for me to build a garage and for my father-in-law to erect a fence. Is that still a realistic solution?
Mr. McBurney, when you come to council, you address your questions to council. We will take a record of them and we will respond. So you will not engage with staff in this format.
Well, I apologize, Mr. Mayor, but I sent 4 questions to each and every member in this room back in November, and I still haven't gotten any answers regarding those questions.
You have had multiple communications with Mr. Simard.
I still have not had the answers to my questions.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that you get an answer to your questions.
So you're going to commit to me that those 4 questions that I've asked everybody to think about before they went on their weekend, you're giving me a commitment that I'll get answers to those questions.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any more questions?
No, you know what? I think that's good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. You know, enjoy your holidays. Enjoy the view out your windows, you know, your beautiful Christmas decorations, because as you're well aware of our view. So.
Thank you. Prochain item.
Next item is the adoption of minutes of the regular council meeting held on November 26, 2018. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. On the question. No questions? All those in favor of the adoption of the minutes of the 26th of November meeting, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried as presented. 9.2 for the minutes of the special council meeting held on the 29th of November 2018, moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. On the question. No questions. All those in favor of the adoption of the minutes of the 29th of November, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. It is carried as presented. Item 10, motions, memorandums, and nominations. 10.1, expansion Dieppe. 10.1.1, Monsieur Simard. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The 23rd of October, there was an agreement in principle that was presented concerning the repurchase of the lot 076 at Champlain. There's a right-of-way for access to the underground parking lot. The repurchase laws identified on Main Place 604, and to authorize basically the signing officers to sign all documents and formal agreements. Thank you for the reading of this resolution, Monsieur Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That council approved the agreement in principle between the City of Dieppe 633856 New-Brunswick Limited and Place 1604 Inc. for the repurchase of lot 07-6 identified under PID 704-77294, the transfer of the main retaining wall of place 1604 and the right-of-way to access the underground parking lot, and authorize the municipal signing officers to sign all documents and formal agreements that will be approved by the city's legal advisors in relation to said agreement in order to give effect to the terms provided for therein. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Brideau. On the question. No question. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried as presented. Now, item 10.2. Finance. Before going to the presentation of everything, we're very happy to present you the final version of budget 2019. I would first of all like to thank the members of staff and the municipal council for the preparation of this budget, a document which reflects the priorities and the opportunities of our municipality. Good news concerning the increase of the tax base, which is above our predictions, combined with a responsible and cautious management of our finance, permits us not to increase our tax rate for 2019. The tax rate will be the same, basically $1.6295 for each $100 of assessment. I must say that I'm particularly happy to see that the growth of our municipality is continuing, and as well as for the tax base as for the population, as we have seen in the last census. Dieppe remains a real pole of attraction for families who are looking for a stable, dynamic settling place and who choose to settle here. The water and sewer bill will increase 900. This increase is related to the increase of the cost of water that we purchased from Moncton following the blue algae that came up in the source of water since 2017. It's an important project for 2019, is for us the building of an intergenerational center that should start very soon. As a matter of fact, our leisure staff will be having information meetings in the community in the next weeks and months. We're really want to see this project after many years of work and consultation with the population and community groups. Different street work is going on Skyline Street in Dalma. I know a lot of people who are going to be happy to see the ditches disappear there. Among them are Councillor Cormier, as well as the extension of College and Alain Gillette streets. We will also establish a snow depot, permanent. For the details now, different important projects will go on for in the next year. First of all, more than $4 million are for the asphalt preservation system, and we'll be able to renew asphalt of portions of Chartersville, Vanier, Frédéric, Maximin, Grégoire, Thériault, Thibodeau, and Jean d'Arrois, and also, as I already mentioned, the reconstruction of parts of Skyline and Bahama Street. Item 2, 1.2 million will be for the extension of College Street and Anna Gillette. Item 3, 1.5 million will be for the purchase of equipment. The fourth item, 1.8 million, will be used for the permanent snow depot that will give us the opportunity to have a designated place to store the snow on land that belongs to the municipality. This is good news that is possible through efficient management of our finances. We will be continuing this growth management and the finances in a strategic and a cautious way, because important projects will take place in the next couple of years. So it's very important for us to continue to manage our finances in a responsible and efficient way. I assure you that we will be continuing to be very vigilant and serious when we make decisions for the good of our residents. When I look at the potential of our city, I'm very optimistic as to our future of the province. So right now I'm going to ask for the treasurer, Monsieur Stéphane Thériault, to come and present the final version of the municipal budget for 2019, which will be adopted by Municipal Council tonight. Monsieur Thériault, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, colleagues, as well as public who are watching and in the room here. So, it's the final presentation of Budget 2019. So, as you've seen, we've had a couple of meetings up to now. The reserves, capitalization. I'm going to do this fairly quickly. If you do have questions, please stop me as I go. So, since last time we met on the 19th of November, a couple of things that have changed. In other words, we've received the tax base. Everything is increased by 4.24% as compared to estimated, which is $160,000 more. There's also the equalization funding that increased by 1%. In other words, there's $120,000 more that happened. Though, in order to be safe with this, with WorkSafe New-Brunswick and the rates, we haven't received the rates of the city of Dieppe, means that the increase of 10% that they announced, I had done it last time, but now I added another 0.2 in case, because it works on different things through our history, and I increased it by $20,000 just to make sure. So that means that there's $100,000 that will be transferring in capital reserve. A little note here, last time we met, we had talked about the RCMP budget had gone down by $25,000, but with Kodiak Transpo, there was an extension of the pilot project. I think it was 6 months. It was $25,000. So we transferred $25,000 from the RCMP budget to public transport. So, broad lines, I mentioned it, 4.24% tax base. Property taxes stays the same. Equalization grant increased by 1%. Transfer to capital reserve. Last year was 1.4. This year is 1.5 million. So for the total budget of 56.5 million, an increase of 4.5%. That 56.5% is 91% is property tax. We have the equalization grant, 1.1, equivalent from last year, and other revenues of 3.9 million. The 3.9 million, for example, it's arenas, the aquatic center, new construction. That's 2.7 million. Concerning the analysis of expenses, how are we going from 54.1 to 56.5? the way I'm presenting it is that I take away the transfer of the reserve of 1.4 from last year, the one-off or one-time expenses, 2018. So I take those away. So I'll give you a base budget, 52 million. And then to get to 56.5, these are the four items that you see here. Transfers to the reserve of 1.5 that I mentioned earlier. One-time expenses of 1.7 million. For example, in the 1.7 million, there's a 500,000 that's transferred for the complex operations. There's also another 250,000 for the Francophonie games. It's the first of three payments that is coming for the next 3 years, etc. As something new, 200,000. I think it was for maintenance of computers. There's also Expansion Dieppe, for 75,000. And then the current expenses, 1.1 million. Half of this is salaries and other amounts, basically operating capital of 131,000 that was increased by 100,000 for replacement of buildings, etc. Another way of seeing it, the difference of 2.5 million from one year to another. See the different expenses here, as you can see. I mentioned the salaries that are represented. That gives you another way of seeing things, see expenses that have increased over the year. And then on this side, the 56.5 million with all the different services that we have in the municipality. Example, police is 9.8, engineering is 3.9, transport 9.4, etc. A typical house in Dieppe. We took this in an article. Of Acadie Nouvelle. 185,000 for the average of the houses sold. Property tax a little over $3,000, and the cost per day is $8.26. The operating budget, water and sewer. You mentioned, if I heard, the 952, that's $12 increase, but it's 920 to 940. So it's 940 for residential for 2019. Water increased by $8. It went from $488, $242, an increase of $4. There's also the wastewater commission, Transact, as we know it. They stayed the same at $210. And that brings us to the $940, an increase of $12, or 1.3%. And then where these funds come from for water and sewer, general operating fund is 1.6. That increases by 50,000 every year. Basically, that's what happened over the last 3 years, and then the other revenue of 500,000. So like we've just seen in the general operating, it's how the 2018 budget of 12.64 million evolved to 12.86 million. We take the one-off 60. We get a budget base of 1239. Then we add the 60,000 for the one-off, 60,000 for new. The changes, the transfer from the reserve 13, and then 22 for the changes 2019. Most of that is the increase of cost of water, 235,000 if I remember properly. But that was counterbalanced by a reduction in salaries, 125,000. There are other expenses like operating capital, Transact, where that increased a little bit. So it's the same thing here. We're looking at how the budget was. So this brings us to the That's for capital budget or general capital budget. So we have 11.7 million of work for capital, general capital. 500,000 for general administration, purchase of lands, recreation and cultural. 700,000, for example, the complex. Vehicles, equipments is 1.6 million, mostly for 2 Kodiak buses purchased to replace 2 older buses. So that would be 1 million. And then the bus stops, and then afterwards the equipment, the trackless things that for the sidewalks, and then transportation, 8.9 million. You mentioned the asphalt preservation, 1.8 million for the snow depot, and then 1.6 million for extension of Anna Gillette. Financing comes from the general capital budget, operating budget, 5.7 million, gas tax, 1.7, general capital reserve, 1.5, and then funding, provincial, federal, like active transport, the purchase of these buses, depending on whether it's something new or it's a replacement, and then a borrowing of 2 million. If we look at the future, in the next 5 years, we can see that in 2019, we have the tax base as 4.24%. Afterwards, we were prudent. We reduced it to 1.5%. We don't know what the future is going to give us, but we'd like to be cautious. So it gives us the opportunity not to raise the taxes the next 3 years. So in 22 and 23, increase it by 1 cent. But there are definitely other factors that influence the tax base. The operating budget is going to increase up to 59,000. Capital budget basically to 19 million in 2020. And then borrowing, we're respecting our funding. We want to borrow, we're talking about 2.1 million, so we remain within the 4.5 million. At the last line, you can see what's going to happen, because the debt ratio is going to go down to 12.5%, from 14.8 to 12.5 from 2019-2023. Water and wastewater infrastructure. Basically, it's work that's being done in general. There are 2 projects: preservation of asphalt and water is 500,000. For the extension of the College Street, 300,000, and there's 400,000 Babineau Creek, so sewer. Half of the work is going to be reimbursed by Transaqua. And we can see it on the next slide. The source of funds, the second line, other contributions, that's Transaqua, 200,000. Operating budget for water and sewer, 800,000, and then reserve, capital reserve, we don't borrow anymore. It's the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken, that we're not borrowing for water and sewer. And to finish off the 5-year predictions, we can see the unit rate for the next 4 years should be stable for residential at $940 a year, and then there'll be an increase for 2023 to $956. If you remember the last time I met you, I'd mentioned also that the rate of the water meter is going to increase for commercial. This one, because it's essentially the rate is a division between the unit rate of 940 divided by equivalency factor. Equivalency factor always was 277 per year. but TransAqua has adopted 240 last year. So gradually, we'll make it go from 277 to 240, which means that the increase of the rates will be at 3.4% for the next 3 years. Finally, for 2023, we'll catch up, and then it'll increase the same as the unit tariff rate. Operating budget, we go from 12.8 to 14 in the next couple of years. Capital, 1.2, 1.5 every year. And then borrowing, 2019 there is none. 2020 to 2023, approximately 500,000 for a year. Debt ratio, that should go down slowly from 21.7 to 20.6. That finishes off my presentation of capital project. You'll see there are a couple of resolutions. This one concerning reserves, there are 5 of them. Transfers from reserves, transfers to reserves. I'm talking about 4 different reserves. That's why there are 4 different resolutions. And then the 5th one, it'll give you a list of what we identified the monies in the reserves, followed by 2 resolutions with the operating budget that have to be accepted, and then also the water and sewer rates, and then lastly the capital projects to authorize borrowing of 2 million, and then a list of capital projects. That finishes it, Mr. Mayor. Questions from members of council? Questions, Monsieur Godet? Thank you. 2 questions concerning our water system in capital projects. You were talking about the next 4 years. Is a book involved? It's in 2020. That's the portion from the market to the roundabout. Or is eventually the Chemin Bourg is going to be finished? No, I was talking about Marché. Yes, Chemin Bourg, yes, it's going to be over 2 years. I don't have the 2 years, but it's within the next 5 years. Madam Spencer, maybe you can help out our Mr. Finance. Yes, it's for 2021, 2022. The first section, 2021, from Mélenchon. The second section in 2022. Second point concerning our water tower is our water system strong enough to take in the growth on the Boulevard Dieppe, the school, because or eventually will we need another one or another system, and when should we expect to have this type of expense? Madame Spencer. So you're right. As there is growth, we will need a second water tower. When Boulevard Dieppe goes from Mélenchon to Amiro, right now I'm not sure. Well, it certainly won't be within the next 5 years, for sure. Thank you. Monsieur Godet, anybody else? If not, thank you very much for your presentation. Don't go too far. There might be other questions during the reading of the transfers. No, I'll be around. So now we go to the reader of the resolution 10.2.1.1. Who is going to go for it? Monsieur Godet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council authorized a transfer in the amount of $420,000 from the general operating fund to the general operating reserve fund. The council authorized a transfer in the amount of $44,000 from the general operating reserve fund to the general operating fund. So moved. Moved by Councillor Godet, seconded by Councillor Brideau on the question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Now, for the 10.2.2 10.2.1.2. Transfer of funds, General Capital Reserve Fund. Monsieur Conseiller Alain. Thank you very much. The Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $2,638,000 from the General Operating Fund to the General Capital Reserve Fund. The Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $724,000 from the General Capital Reserve Fund to the General Capital Fund. The Council authorize a transfer in the amount of $201,000 from the General Capital Fund to the General Capital Reserve Fund. So moved. Moved by Councillor Alain, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau on the question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as adopted. Now, for the transfer of funds, Water and Sewer Operating Reserve Fund. Madame la Conseillère, Madame Councillor Boutillier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council authorized a transfer in the amount of $275,000 from the Water and Sewer Operating Fund to the Water and Sewer Operating Reserve Fund. So moved. Moved by Councillor Boutillier, seconded by Councillor Arsenault on the question. No questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Resolution 10.2.1.4, Transfer of Funds, Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council authorized a transfer in the amount of $325,500 from the Water and Sewer Operating Fund to the Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund. The Council authorized a transfer in the amount of $56,000 from the Water and Sewer Capital Fund to the Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund. That Council authorized a transfer in the amount of $345,000 from the Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund to the Water and Sewer Capital Fund. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier on the question. No questions? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Resolution 10.2.1.5. Commitments in various reserve funds. Madame Arsenault. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council authorized the following commitments from the following reserve funds. General Operating Reserve Fund, account number 7-4-20-12-8910. 1. Emergency measures, $235,000. Snow removal, $235,000. Yes. Snow removal, $400,000. Building renovation program, $390,000. Equipment program, information technology, IT, $66,000. Engineering, global traffic plan, 2040, $51,000. Engineering, driver feedback sign, $18,000. Engineering improvements, Acadie Avenue, Amiro Street, $100,000. Engineering, Petty-Kodiak River Access Design, $22,500. Organizational Performance Participatory Budget, $125,000. Transportation Mobile Receiver to be replaced in 2019, $28,000. Administration Incentive Program Downtown, $175,000. Administration Number 12, Administration Jeux de la Francophonie, $500,000. The computer turned off. 13, IT Unforeseen Expenditures, $29,000. 14, IT Ludique, $30,500. IT Software Public Works, TRBO Net Dispatch, $15,000. IT Software Purchase Automated Timesheets, $20,000. Planning and Development, Sauvé Project, AFMNB, $43,000. City Clerk, Software Maintenance, Laserfiche, $20,000. Leisure, Purchase of Artwork, $50,000. Leisure, 2019, 15th of August Project, $100,000. Leisure, 60th Anniversary Book Project, $12,000. Leisure Renovation, Tennis Courts, $14,000. Leisure Sports Hall of Fame, $6,000. Leisure Sleigh, Doiron Heritage House, $3,000. Communications Welcome Sign, Airport, $30,000. Communications, 15th of August Beautification, $28,000. Communications Advertising, Doiron Heritage House, $15,000. Communications Promotion, Doiron Heritage House, $25,000. Communications Signage, Doiron Heritage House, $20,000. Finance Asset Management, Phase 2, $20,000. Finance Potential Claims, $25,000. Water and Sewer Operating Reserve Fund, account number 7-4-20-12-8930. Stabilization Reserve, $516,000. Equipment Program, IT, $29,000. Potential Claims, $25,000. IT, Unforeseen Expenditures, $11,000. City Clerk, Records Management Software, $8,000. General Capital Reserve Fund, account number 7-4-20-12-8920. Vehicle Program, Fire Department, $495,000. Equipment Program, Public Works Department, $933,000. Equipment Program, Municipal Facilities Division, $617,000. Building Renovation Program, $258,000. $258,000. Yes, it's okay. Bus Replacement Program, $349,000. Future Land Purchase, $543,000. Current Capital Projects, $4,635,175. Completed Capital Projects, $1,241,177. Capital Projects 2019 Financing, $768,000. Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund, account number 7-4-20-12-8940. Equipment Program, Public Works Department, $334,000. Current capital projects, $732,000. Completed capital projects, $1,210,500. Capital projects 2019 financing, $212,500. So moved with a tremendous smile. I kept everybody awake. Seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question, Monsieur Godet. Couple of explanations. Engineering services. Number 7. You have $100,000 for Acadie Amiro. I need an explanation. Is that Melanson Street or is it Fox Creek? That's number 7. And number 8, access design to Petty Kodiak. Does that have to do with the study that was done by the consultants that was presented 2 weeks ago? Madam Spencer, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Godet, for the first question, $100,000 is neither one nor the other. It's following the work that was done in the marsh to raise the road. Since that time, the norms are a little clearer concerning the vehicles that could leave the road, and we realize that there are posts and signs that are too close, so we have to move them to ensure the safety of people, especially in the curve, if ever there's a car that leaves the road. Because we know about it, we have to act on it. So these are the amounts that are estimated for that work. It could be a little bit less, but this is the amount that was estimated. And for the second one, you're right. It has to do with the design for a park and access to Petite-Kodiak River. They had been these amounts had been budgeted even before this study, so that amount is still available. Thank you, Mr. Godet. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried as presented. You raised your hand at the right time, Madame Arsenault. Item 10.2.2, General Operating Fund Budget. 2.2.1, General Operating Budget. Sorry, 10.2.2.1, General Operating Budget 2019. The Council resolve that the sum of $56,488,232 be the municipality's total budget, that the sum of $51,473,591 be the warrant of the municipality for the ensuing year, and that the tax rate be $1.6295 for Dieppe and $1.3060 for Dieppe outside exterior, and that council order and direct the levying by the Minister of Local Government of said amount on real property liable to taxation under the Assessment Act within the municipality of Dieppe. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Monsieur Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier on the question. No questions? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried as presented. Now, for the resolution 10.2.2.2. Monsieur Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That the 2019 Water and Sewer Operating Fund be approved as follows. $7,631,448 water utility, $5,224,385 sewer service. That, pursuant to the bylaw respecting the water and sewage systems, the user charge per unit for the year 2019 be set as follows. $488 water utility, $452 sewer service. That the metered water rates for the year 2019 be $1.8277 per cubic meter for 2019, and that the user charge for the sewage service for metered customers for the year 2019 be equal to a percentage of the amount of the water rate. This percentage being determined by the ratio of the current sewerage rate to the current water rate. This calculation provides us with a user charge for the sewer service of $1.6929 per cubic meters for the year 2019. So moved. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Godet on the question. No question. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. Next item. We go to 10.2.3.1. Reading of the resolution, Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council authorized an application to borrow the sum of $1,992,000 be submitted to the Municipal Capital Borrowing Board in order to finance the following projects. General Capital Budget projects. General Administration Services, land purchase, $453,000. Recreational and Cultural Services, recreational facilities, $745,000. Transportation-related services, snow disposal site, $1,803,000. Infrastructure, various streets, $7,070,000 for a total of $10,071,000. Source of funds, 2019 general operating budget, $5,187. Capital borrowing, $1,992,000. 2019 gas tax grant, $1,749,213. General capital reserve fund, $1,329,600 for a total $10,071,000. Water and sewer capital budget, projects, environmental hygiene services, water and sewer infrastructure, $1,228,000. Total of $1,228,000. Source of funds, 2019 water and sewer operating budget, $803,000. Water and sewer capital reserve fund, $212,500. Contributions, other organizations, $212,500. For a total of $1,228,000 at an interest rate to be determined by the board for a period not exceeding 15 years for the general capital budget and 20 years for the water and sewer capital budget. And that the council authorize the city of Dieppe to borrow on an interim basis an amount not to exceed $1,992,000 at the prime lending rate until long-term financing is arranged. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Alain on the question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried as presented. Item 10.2.2. Capital Project Program. So the reading of the resolution, 10.2.3.2. Monsieur Thibodeau. He's got the voice. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The council authorized the following projects within the 2019 Capital Projects Program. General capital budget. New asphalt, various streets, pavement management. 2. Land purchase, downtown parking. 3. Snow disposal site. 4. Intergeneration community complex, additional contribution. 5. College and Alain Gillette Street extension. 6. Plan and specifications, Gauvin Road water pipe replacement, dome for equipment and vehicles. 7. Sidewalk, Dolbeau Street. 8. Courts and parking lots in phases, Gauvin Block. 9. 2 crosswalks, Champlain Street, between Acadie and Notre-Dame and the Moncton Flight College. 10. Traffic lights. Water and sewer capital budget. 1. Babineau Creek sewer main, Dolbeau, Bastarage to Bonaventure, La Rochelle. 2. Plan and specifications, Gauvin Road water pipe replacement. 3. Infrastructure work, Bahama Skyline Street reconstruction and Collège and Alain Gillette Street extension. So moved. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Arsenault on the question. No questions? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Next resolution, 10.2.4, renewal of municipal liability insurance. Monsieur Brideau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Renewal, municipal vehicles, buildings, and liability insurance for directors and elected municipal officials, and fiduciary liability. The council authorized the renewal of the vehicles, buildings, and liability insurance as well as the liability insurance for the directors and elected municipal officials with Frank Cowan Company, payable to Assurance Gauguin Champlain Insurance at the cost of $313,114 for 2019. The council authorized the renewal of the fiduciary insurance with Southwestern Insurance Group Limited, payable to Assurance Gauguin Champlain Insurance at the cost of $3,630 for 2019. And the council authorized the renewal of the environmental liability insurance with Markel, payable to Assurance Gauguin Champlain Insurance at the cost of $18,500 for 2019. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Now, we go the reading of resolutions for appointments. I think we had someone who mentioned a conflict of interest. I don't want to kick you out, but I don't want to be a default either. Thank you. So for the reading of Resolution 10.3.1, Madame Le Boutillier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Council appoint the following persons on the Planning Advisory Committee for another term ending December 31st, 2021. Monsieur Paul Le Breton, Robert Arsenault, and Richard Godette. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Le Boutillier, seconded by Councillor Alain. On the question. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried as presented. We go with the second resolution. The Council appoint Robert Arsenault on the Kodiak Regional Policing Authority for another term ending December 31st, 2021. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Le Boutillier, seconded by Councillor Alain. The question. No questions. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Resolution is carried. So I'll take this opportunity to thank these three people, essentially, for their participation in the community and rendering great services to the municipality. So thank you very much. Now, 10.4.1, rezoning application and text modification to zoning bylaw Z 10/2017 for Olivier Street. For the reading of the resolution, Monsieur Godette. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor. That the resolution entitled Acceptance PAC Recommendation Rezoning Application and Text Modification to Zoning Bylaw Z-10/2017 Olivier Street, adopted on November 13, 2018, be repealed and replaced by the following. The Council accept the recommendation made by the Planning Advisory Committee on October 17, 2018, relating to an amendment to the zoning map pursuant to Bylaw Z-10/2017 concerning land identified under PID 00669440 and 00928-143, as well as an amendment to the parking lot design requirements as outlined in Schedule A of the memorandum dated November 29, 2018. The Council further accept that the said application be subject to Article 59 of the Community Planning Act with the following terms and conditions. 1. That the land identified under PIDs 00669440 and 00928-143 be amalgamated before a development permit is issued for the commercial parking lot. 2. That the commercial parking lot landscaping be completed pursuant to the landscaping plan entitled Conceptual Landscaping Plan, December 10, 2018, as outlined in Schedule B of the memorandum dated November 29, 2018. So moved. Moved by Councillor Godette, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. On the question, Monsieur Alain. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, did we get any correspondence from the people living around this project? I think since we talked 2 meetings ago. Yes. No, we haven't received any correspondence from the neighbors. I probably can continue with your request for a complete analysis to see if it was possible. We've done the analysis. We've checked with the specialist in urban forestry. And as you can see at page 103 of your text, it's a restricted zone So there are concerns maybe that trees could die prematurely because there's a lack of space, and the snow removal, the salt that could damage them. On the other hand, there's a possibility to add that type of condition before the third reading. Other points had been raised. There could be nuisance problems for the neighborhood because the canopy or the branches could probably be above the neighboring lands. There would be leaves during fall, but there's not really any major concerns on that. As you know, there's a section in the terms and conditions. It's for a fencing for the parking, whereas the trees, it's a question of aesthetics. So council has two options: proceed with the third reading by adding the condition of planting trees. So if ever the council decides to add the condition of the adding the trees, then we would have to refer to Schedule B. And in the Schedule B, we can see the trees with the diameter that are required, that would be required. So I see Schedule B. I would add it to bylaw Z 11.1, is that it? So that answers the question for the time being. So all those in favor of the resolution, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. And now we go to the reading of the bylaw of, that would be the item 11.1.1. 11.1, bylaw Z10 2017-3, amending the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, reading in its entirety. Monsieur Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number Z-10 2017-3, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. That Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act SNB 2017 C19, enacts as follows. The City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, being bylaw number Z-10 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 3753873 on November 3rd, 2017, is hereby amended as follows. 1. Schedule A, entitled City of Dieppe Zoning Map, whenever it is mentioned in the text of the zoning bylaw, is amended by the map hereto attached as Schedule A-4. 2. Section 3.38(6)(b) is amended by striking out on the same lot as the main use and. So moved. Reading in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the question. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The resolution is carried as presented. Now, for the 11.1.2 third reading by title only, bylaw number Z-10 2017-3, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. So moved. Third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. On the question, Monsieur Alain. Yes, I'd like to move an amendment, an addition, which is the number 3, Schedule B, to include development plan, landscaping, design. dated 10th of December 2018. So moved by Councillor Alain, seconded by Councillor Leblanc on the question. All those in favor of resolution of the amendment, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. So, bylaw Z10 2017-3 amendment is adopted. Now, for the third reading, as amended by Monsieur Cormier. We've done the amendment. We don't have to reread it. Okay, it's different from other resolutions. So that's it. No. All those in favor of bylaw Z10 2017-3 as amended, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. All right, so Z10 2017-3 is carried as amended. Thank you very much. Now, for bylaw A11, reading reading of summary. Reading of the summary. Madame Arsenault. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number A-11, a bylaw of the City of Dieppe, adjusting the remuneration of the mayor and the councillors to counter effects of 2019 tax changes. Pursuant to the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 18, the Council of the Municipality of Dieppe duly assembled enacts as follows. 1. Repeal. 2. Remuneration of the mayor. 3. Payable monthly. 4. Remuneration of the deputy mayor. 5. Remuneration of the councillors. 6. Compensation. 7. Entry into force. So moved, Mr. Mayor. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Alain on the question. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. The reading of summary is carried. Now for the third reading, Madame Arsenault, by title only. Bylaw number 811, a bylaw of the City of Dieppe adjusting the remuneration of the mayor and the councillors to counter the effects of 2019 tax changes. So moved. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Alain. All those in favor of the resolution, say by saying aye. Contrary minded, nay. Carried as presented. Now for bylaw 812, respecting the remuneration of the mayor and the councillors as of June 2020. Reading of summary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw 8-12, a bylaw of the City of Dieppe respecting the remuneration of the mayor and the councillors as of June 2020. Pursuant to the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 18, the Council of the Municipality of Dieppe duly assembled and acts as follows. 1. This bylaw amends bylaw number A-11, entitled A Bylaw of the City of Dieppe adjusting the remuneration of the mayor and the councillors to counter the effects of 2019 tax changes by increasing the mayor's remuneration from $53,900 in 2020 to $59,925 in 2021 to $65,950 in 2022 to $71,795 in 2023 and to $78,000 in 2024. Each year thereafter, the remuneration of the mayor, deputy mayor, and the councillors shall be readjusted according to Canada's Consumer Price Index for the previous calendar year. 3. This bylaw shall enter into force as of June 1, 2020. So moved. The reading of summary. seconded by Councillor Brideau. On the question, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. There are 2 nay votes. And for the third reading, by title only, Monsieur Leblanc. Bylaw number 812, a bylaw of the City of Dieppe respecting the remuneration of the mayor and the councillors as of June 2020. So moved. The third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Leblanc. Seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question. No questions? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. 2 nay votes. And the vote is carried 6 votes against 2. So now we have notices of motion. None received. Inquiries and announcement by members of council. I think we will start on my right. It's very short. I have nothing tonight except to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, if we don't have the opportunity to give these wishes before. Monsieur Leblanc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Same thing. Happy holidays to members of council, members of staff, and the citizens of Dieppe. And secondly, I'd like to invite to the mayor's greetings this Friday evening at the Place 1604 at 6:30 p.m. Yes, 6:30 p.m. So we'll see you. We'll be in voice. We'll have voices. On se voit. Yeah. Monsieur Councillor Cormier. Yeah. I join my 2 colleagues also to wish great holidays to those who celebrate. Happy holidays to students and to teaching and non-teaching staff, because we won't see them before. I'd also like to congratulate the Matadors of Mathieu Martin for their championship in Fredericton during the secondary school tournament. And also, this Friday, I also invite citizens to come have fun Friday nights on our rink, because there will be interesting activities. Thank you, Monsieur Cormier. Monsieur Brideau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Best wishes for the holidays as my colleagues, so very safe holidays. Thank you, Madame Le Boutillier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before my wishes, I have 2 questions. I was asked the dog park file that was voted at the participatory budget. Where are we at with this? Monsieur Melançon, unless there's somebody else? Monsieur Bugeaud. Good evening. We should have had a meeting last week, but it was not possible because of the holiday activity. So we'll be holding it in January 2019. But a committee was set up, and Jacques is coordinating that committee. We had a working committee planning, so it had to be put back to January. But things are moving, so we'll be building and finalizing when in spring. Yeah, well, it depends on the site that will be chosen. We'd have different possibilities, but we have to talk with the people who have put in the proposal. So we'll be working with them on that. In the meantime, Luc Richard and I have followed a webinar on dog parks. So it was very interesting. So we got ideas and tools that we'll be able to share with the group. Thank you. And I also would like to wish to all the staff of the city and the citizens of Dieppe a great holiday time and the best of 2019. Also, be careful during these holiday times to drive safely, especially without drinking. Thank you. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also would like to wish great holidays to everybody, staff, citizens, and all the people that we collaborate with. So happy holidays and drive safely. Thank you, Madame Arsenault. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's also very simple. Don't drive if you've drunk. Good health, Merry Christmas, and Happy 2019. Thank you. Monsieur Alain. Thank you. I would like to congratulate one person in the community of Greater Richibouctou. During the weekend, we participated in the opening of the Kent Nord Imperial Center. It's nice to see all the communities that work together, Saint-Louis, Aldoine, Richibouctou, Rexton, and 1,000 other little communities in the LSD. It's a great place for the community, and certainly we will be able to get some great ideas for it. I'm really happy for the communities after 10 years, and also us here in Dieppe. We're going to have our own center within the next 2 years. So, also, L'Assomption. A lot of employees of L'Assomption in our community. There's a great community leader who's the new CEO of Assomption, Sébastien Dupuis. He's a resident of Dieppe. He's a Dieppois, but also on the council, on the community. He was instrumental on the development of this intergenerational for the funding campaign. He's also taking the reins for the committee on the Jeux de la Francophonie, so I'm sure that somebody like him is going to help us to navigate this difficult file for the region of Greater Moncton. Also, I'd like to wish, as my other colleagues did, to staff, great thanks for 2018. And we have a lot of challenges to 2019, but we're ready for it, for them. And to the whole population, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you, Monsieur Alain, for having emphasized this great day for our friend Sébastien Dupuis. I was very happy to receive a call from Monsieur André Vincent at the beginning of the week to confirm that his term as CEO of Assomption Vie, I think that the business is in good hands. And as you said, he's a great collaborator, a person with a very open mind and who loves to see things done. So in the same manner, I would also like to wish the best wishes to all our staff, our collaborators in the different sectors, all our employees, obviously, to everyone. Great holiday, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year, health. Now, when we ask people not to drive if they're a little bit tipsy, that includes, obviously, the new thing that people, cannabis. So it's a question of safety. We're losing already too many people by accidents that could be easily avoided if people were just a little more patient and paid more attention. But when we add to that either alcohol or other drugs, obviously it creates even a bigger problem. So once again, see you next year. We're ending a beautiful year. We can foresee another very big year. There are a lot of projects that are ready to go that we're working on, and we're very impatient to complete this intergenerational center in particular. So good evening to all.